Hello everybody, today I'm gonna do a recap about chapter 6 for the test we're gonna have. Okay, so I'm gonna start with 6.1, which is basically the easier stuff of the chapter. Okay, so in 6.1 we basically talk about fractions and percentages. So for example, if we would have a circle here, and this is 1/4. 1/4. That means that this is 3/4. Okay, but if we would add 1/4 to this would be 2/4, and this would also be 2/4. So so we need to know how many percent and piece of fractions those are. Okay, so I'm gonna give an example that you can try to solve. Remember, like in 6.1, they're not gonna be that many. There are basically no A-level questions. Okay, so here is a circle. Okay, like what would be the fraction of this if you would like I'm pretty sure you can see like what these blue stuff here are like. I think you know what percentage I mean with these, and if you don't, then basically if you do, just pause the video and answer this question: how much of the figure is shadowed. Okay, so here we can easily see that. Okay, so it's 2/4. This is 4/4 because there are 4 pieces. Okay, so that need to be equal. The 4 pieces have to be equal. Okay, so there are 2/4, which we can simplify. Remember, we should probably always simplify our fractions to, for example, 1/2 here. Okay, and I guess another question could also be like, okay, so we have 3 cats, 5 dogs, and 2 rabbits. Now pause the video and find the percentage of animals that are cats, percentage of animals that are dogs, and percentage of animals that are rabbits. And just pause the video, and then I can help you if you don't know how to do it. Okay, so pause the video and okay. 3 cats. Okay, so first we need to add up all of the numbers here so we know the amount of animals we have. Because remember, bottom number is always the amount of animals we have, the amount of pieces. Okay, so 3 plus 5 plus 2 is equal to 10. Okay, so that's equal to 10. Okay, and that means that this is 3/10, and basically you do 3 divided by 10, which is equal to 0.3. Now this is of course in decimal form, which we just need to do like times 100, and then it is basically in percentage form. So any decimal, just times 100, and that's the percentage form. Yeah, you can do that all the other ones. So it's like 0 if it's 5 dogs out of 10 animals, then it's the same thing but 50%. So you use the same methods. Okay, now on to 6.2. Okay, so now we're on 6.2, and in 6.2 we start to get some more A-level questions as we're now going on to stuff like area. But this is the A-level question that I'm gonna go through. It's kind of A-level. I mean, like, it's not really A-level. It's A-level compared to the other questions here, because the other questions here are also still easy questions. It's just harder compared to other questions here. Okay, so I'm gonna start with an easier question. Okay, so if we would have a triangle here. Okay, so remember, one of these grids is equal to 1 centimeter. One grid like this. That means that's 1 centimeter squared. Okay. And now, what if I would draw a triangle here? It's 4 centimeters. And then Okay, so it's 4 centimeters. The space is 4 centimeters and its length is 4 centimeters. So that means that you do 4 times 4, which is equal to 16 centimeters squared. But when we're calculating this times this, we're basically getting the area of it's square. Like as I drew right now, that's a square, not a triangle. So we need to divide 16 by 2, which is equal to 8 centimeters squared. Like, you have to remember to do this, because this, like, you lose a grade for that. Okay. Yeah, and that's basically probably the only thing that is actually a little bit. This is probably the only thing that we really got to learn in 6.2. But there's also something that could probably be on the test, which is this square here. And as you can see, it's not like it's not right. It's like they've forgotten to add these parts to it. It's like, I think you understand what I mean. Okay, so these parts are not a part of it. Okay, so as you can see here, you might think that it's just gonna be free blocks or whatever, because it kind of looks like that, but it actually might not be free blocks. So we know that there are 4 centimeters on each side here. 4 times 4 is equal to 16, and this is a square, so you don't need to divide. So you get a 16 from that. But then we also have these triangles in here. So when you want to get this, shape, make a box around it. Try to make like a box around it, and then remove these triangles or whatever shape that remains there, because we can't get the triangles easily. Okay, so here see it's 1 times 3, but obviously it's a triangle, so we divide the answer that we get by 2. So we divide 3 by 2, because 1 times 3 is equal to 3, and 3 divided by 2 is equal to 1.5. And now you've probably noticed that there are 4 triangles, not 1. So we do 1.5 times 4, which is equal to 6. So 16 minus 6 is equal to 10 centimeters squared. Okay, and now on to 6.3. Okay, so for chapter 6.3, I'm gonna be kind of like I'm gonna giving you some questions about how to go from a decimal to a percentage to a fraction. Okay, so I'm gonna giving you some questions. Okay, so answer in decimals and percentages and fractions. So if it already is a fraction, you only need to answer in decimals and percentages, and yeah, I think you understand. Okay, so turn this into the right fractions, decimals, or percentages. I'm just gonna give you some questions now. And you can also pause the video after this, because I'm only gonna give you 5 seconds. I don't think you can complete this in 5 seconds. And remember to also simplify the fractions. You need to simplify the fractions. Okay, I'm gonna give you 5 seconds, but you should probably pause the video. Okay, so now we can go through these really quickly. So 1/4. Okay, so we divide 100 by 4. Divide 100 by 4. I'm like, you probably know this already, but to be sure, always divide 100 by 4 to get a percent, or like by the total number that is this number here. Okay, so 100 divided by 4 is equal to 25, and that's 125. So that means 1 times 25, which is equal to 25%, which if we divide by 100 is equal to 0.25. And the same thing, 100 divided by 5, 100 divided by 5 is equal to 20, and if you divide it by 2, it's 0.2. And 30%, here, to get a decimal, we of course divide it by 100, which makes it 0.3, And for the fraction, you actually have to think a little bit here. So 30 over 100, because that's 30%, and cent is basically like 1/100th, so it's like 30 hundredths. So that means 30 above 100. And 100 divided by 30, if we take away the 0 and this 0, is 3 divided by 100, which is equal to 30%. It's equal to 0.3, which is equal to 30%. Yeah, this goes like that to that. And 0.58, as I said before, when you can divide by 100, you can probably also multiply by 100, which means that we do times 100 for the 0.58, which is equal to 58%, which also mean 58 hundredths, but you need to simplify that somehow. So if you divide it by 2, for example, you can get to, okay, let me erase a little bit of stuff here that we don't need anymore, so I have space to show you, so you don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Okay, so if we divide 58 by 2, we get 25 plus a 4, because 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4, so 29. Okay, but also the 100 also gets divided. So there was 58 hundredths, right? So the 100 also gets divided to a 50, so this is 29 50ths now. 29 50ths. And 72%, we divide by 100, 0.72. And also the fraction, I'm not going to do right now because it's going to take too long time, but the non-simplified version is 72 100ths, but you can also then divide that by 2 and just go down and down and down until you can't divide it anymore. Okay, and now for a word problem. Because word problems are also good because it makes you think a little bit more creatively about math. Okay. So, there was a speed limit. There's a speed limit, okay? And 30%. Remember, this is not an A-level question. We haven't gone to A-level questions yet. So, 30% of the people in the on the road are going faster than the speed limit, and those 30% are equal to 18 people. 18 people. Okay, so how many cars were there in total? How many people? X people, which is then equal to 100%. Okay, so how I would do this is either through 30 times 0.18 if you do have a calculator, but if not, I would do 100 times 18, then, which is equal to 1,800. Then I would divide 30 by 1,800. But that's the easier way when we don't have a calculator. But you're gonna have a calculator, so just do 0.18 because it's more efficient and it can higher your grade. Okay, so the answer that you can just use a calculator to use to get. I basically gave you how to answer your question. Okay, so now to 6.4. So in 6.4, we get to learn more about how to get fractions of different units. For example, 0.8 out of 2.5 hectograms. So basically divide 2.5 by 10, which is equal to 0.25, times 8. And then you get the answer. So in this case, that would be equal to 2 instead of 2.5. Yeah, that's probably those are like E-level questions. But we can also make this a little bit harder by, for example, Okay. So we can do this. So a football player shoots 20 balls, and hits 13 of them. But another football player hits 15 balls, but only gets 8 of them into the goal. Which one of them have the higher goal rate? Which one of them have a higher percent of shooting a goal? And how we can get this is basically just dividing them. So we can do 13 divided by 20 and 8 divided by 15. And you can just use your calculator at home and you can see who has a higher chance. So if we say that this guy is like Bern and Bob, just use your calculator at home and comment down below which one you think is correct. And I'm just gonna give you a clue. Okay, no, actually, when you write in the comments, I can also say if you're right or wrong. I don't have a calculator with me right now, and I do not have the energy to do the questions. But if you don't have a calculator like me right now, you can just do this. Do my division trick. I can just give you the answer now while I'm doing it, so like, why not? Okay, 13 divided by 20, 0 point something, so that means that 20 goes into 130, 5, 6 times with a 10 rest, and we add 1 0 there, and 5, 0.65. So he has a 0.65%. That means that, no, that means that he has 65% chance of hitting, because remember, we had to do times 100, and the other person is 8 out of 15. Okay, I don't have any more space. Right, 65% there. And this other guy is 8 out of 15. That means that we have 1 0 there. 0.123456 with a 5 rest. But add a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is just 74, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, like forever. And that means that he has a higher chance of hitting the ball. That means that Bob is a better football player. Yeah, so now we go on to 6.5. Okay, so in 6.5, we basically talk more about, money, but we basically talk about money and how, and we talk about percentages off something. For example, if a jacket costs 800, or let's just say $80, costs $80, then but it goes down in price by 20%, so $80 is equal to 80%, then 100% is equal to X dollars. Well, I mean, you can probably easily do this because 80 is 80, then 100 is 100, so that means that 100% would be $100. Yeah. But this is not gonna be that easy later. And also, they also did the other way around, where they're like, okay, so it cost before it costed 3,500 crowns, but now all of a sudden it costs 2,950 crowns. So how do you get how many percent it has gone down in price? So how many percent has the price gone down? Well, how you do that is basically you divide the smaller number on top, because the bottom is always the whole, so meaning the beginner price. So 2,950 divided by 3,500, just put that into your calculator, and then that will come into decimal form, times 100, and it's in percentage form. Okay, so that's probably like a decent question to know. You probably need to know that question. Or, for example, another question could be, a bird's egg weighs 21 grams. Okay, 21 grams. But another bird's eggs weigh 50% more. So how do you do that? Again, 50% is equal to 1/2. So if you divide 21 by 2, you get 10.5. And 21 plus 10.5 is equal to 31.5 grams. Okay, so now I'm just gonna give you an A-level question to work on a little bit, because we've gone through all of the E and C level questions, and I'm just gonna give you an A-level question to work on a little bit and see if you know how to do it or not. And now I'm gonna be going through the A-level question. Okay, so this A-level question is really, really useful for the test, and like this is probably worth like 2 A points or something. So basically, the question is asking, how much perimeter would there be for an entire circle? Here, do you see this entire circle here? If we know that the perimeter of this entire shape here is 8 centimeters. Okay, so first we need to like understand this a little bit. So that means that the diameter plus the pi divided by 4 is basically what we're looking for here. So we have to write an expression. I think what's called an expression. We need to write an expression for how we're gonna get the answer. Okay, so we know that 8 is the entire thing here. We want to get this. We want to get this bent line here, so that we can get so we can just do times 4 and get the perimeter. Okay, so 8 minus diameter, because if we take away this, then we're basically left with the bent line here. And then we have to do times 4, because this bent line is basically 1/4 of an entire circle here. So we remain with 8 minus diameter times 4, and remember this has to be in parentheses, is equal to pi times diameter, because you know that pi times diameter gets us the perimeter, but this also gives us the perimeter. See what I mean? Okay, so now I'm going to write this a little bit smaller so that I can write more stuff. 8 minus d times 4 is equal to pi times d. Okay, now we need to find a way to simplify that. But how? Well, one very, very easy way to simplify this is basically take the 4 here. See this times, it says times 4. Well, because it has a minus here, technically if you just do them both times the same number, after minus it's still going to give you the exact same number. So what should we do to remove the 4? Well, it literally says times 4. So we just do d times 4 and 8 times 4. 8 times 4 is equal to 32, and we do minus, and 4 times d is equal to 4d, because you don't know what d is. Okay, so, and then we still think that that is equal to pi times d. Okay, now we want to put all of the d's, all the diameters, on the same side, because right now it's really tricky because we don't know what number d is, which makes it really difficult for us. So now we go to 32 is equal to pi times diameter times diameter plus 4d, because when you move something that's minus to the other side, it turns into plus. Same thing if this was a plus, if it would go this way, it would turn into minus. And with multiplication, if we go this way, it'll turn into division, and the same thing with division over. Okay, so 32 equals pi times d plus 4d. Okay, Now, what is pi? Well, we know that it's about, pi is about 3.14. Okay, so we know it's about 3.14. So we're going to write 32 is equal to 3.14d plus 4d. And here you can immediately notice that they're both the unit d. So 3.14 plus 4, what is that? Well, it's 7.14. 7.14. Okay, that would, you can really see what I've written there. So that means that 32 is equal to 7.14 d. Okay, and you can literally do this with any number. Like, if it would say that the perimeter of this 1/4 of a circle would be like 10, you would do the same procedure, but with 10 instead. Okay, so now we need to divide both of these by 7.14, so we can get what 1d is equal to. Okay, so you can basically use a calculator for this, but I've already fully managed everything right now, so I know that is equal to about equal to 4.48. So I'm gonna just erase the top here a little bit. Just write that down somewhere if you really need to keep it somewhere, remember it. So d is equal to 4.48, and we know that that is basically 1/4. So that means that if we do 4.48, that's not 1/4. That is the diameter. Sorry, that is the diameter. Okay. So as we said before, diameter times diameter times pi is equal to the perimeter. So now that we know the diameter is 4.48, we just do 4.48 times 3.14, because 3.14 is equal to pi. Okay, is equal to pi. And then when we do that, we get a specific number that I'm not going to calculate, but you can do it with your calculator, and you'll see that it is going to give you the right answer. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and also comment down below if you want me to go over any specific math solutions on how to do a question, or like a recap on anything you want. Just comment down below and I will make sure to make a video on that. Goodbye.